Hi, everybody, and welcome to the AV Room. I'd like to welcome you for a unique look at a subject that I've become quickly associated with since my move from the big city to Texas in a small town known as the Permian Basin. I live in Midland and I work in nearby Odessa, and there are no record stores with the exception of antique malls or your big stores, your Targets, your Walmarts. So I rely on mail order a lot. And I know many of you do as well because we spend a lot of our hard earned money on pre orders. And pre orders have to come shipped. Now, how you get those is partly due to the packaging and partly due to who is delivering it. Now, recently, several months ago, I had a package that, to no fault of the sender, was horribly mangled by FedEx. And we have USPS as well as UPS. So those are the big ones. But you also have international. I tend not to order international shipping too much because more often than not, they become bent or mangled in shipping. I had to stop purchasing music on vinyl directly from Music on Vinyl because one after another came bent or torn or just destroyed. And they didn't do anything. They gave me a discount towards another order. I didn't even get a full refund, even though the item was mangled. So, what they send it to us in is very, very important. And over the last year, I've collected various supplies and shipments, tried to keep some of them exactly as they were sent to me. Some of them I've gone ahead and placed a record in to help show you how they were sent and how they protected what were sent. So the numbers aren't exactly on the money accurate, but for better or worse, we're going to call this a top 10. So 10 being the worst, 1 being the best. And then along the way, we're going to have some honorable mentions. So starting at the bottom, the worst shipping package I received all year. And I'm still getting some shipments that will be coming in mid-December, but for all intents and purposes, many of my pre-orders have shipped. So we're going to call this the top 10 shipping containers, and we're going to start at number 10, the worst. And drum roll, please. The worst way I received a record. And yes, the record didn't make it. It was snapped in half. Record in question, Ziggy Marley and the Melody Makers' Conscious Party. The shipper? So yeah, the shipper I got that package in was in this shipper. It had a fold in it, so the record was here. No additional packaging, just flopping around. That's the glue strip right here that held it not together and was lost in shipping, was placed back in the envelope. As you can see, the envelope made it. The envelope hasn't ripped or torn at all, but clearly several things were set on it. The record didn't make it. So number 10, the worst, paper envelope and file. It's my file pile because I'm going to throw everything away once we're done. Okay, on to number 9. Okay, number 9. This is a record I received recently within the last couple days, and the record survived, oddly enough. The record made it. The packaging was this, and this was shipped to me from Blue Note. I ordered the Frank Sinatra, and it came in this. So the record sits in here, and you can see it's got these two folding type gates, and the record sits in there. Now, there's a weird perforated slit there, and I assume that is to keep the record from shifting back and forth, which maybe it did its job. I didn't get any dings, I didn't get any tears. And there's a fold right here, a little toe, if you will, and that fits into a slit here. But it had popped out and someone along the way taped it, or maybe that was how they put it in and taped it. So no bubble wrap, no inner cardboard, nothing, but it did make it. So this is number 9 of thank God it made it, my Frank Sinatra Blue Note. And this goes at number 9. Is it better than the paper? Sure, but not by a lot. So there's better. Okay, so we've done 10, 9. This is 8. This is a recent order as well. One album, I got it from You Discover, and it's not the worst. Now, what saves this sort of packaging? It's just a single. See, it comes like this, and it has a perforated tear. You've gotten a package like this, I'm sure. Now, what was weird in this one was that it was a very thin piece of cardboard placed over the shrink wrapped album, which sat like so. Now, again, it didn't get any dings, it didn't get any tears. Is this a good mailer? Yeah, absolutely. It's my 8th favorite. So, majority of the records I get come in these. And I think generally we see it the other way with a heavier piece of cardboard here rather than this thin one. But these little side folds here are what holds that record in place. This is around, and then there's a perforation. So it very much is protected all 4 corners and has very little room to be damaged. Now, where you could run into damage is if something else is sat upon it. And when I saw these 3 perforated holes all the way through, I thought, oh my God, is it going to be damaged? Was the first thing that crossed my mind. Luckily, they didn't go all the way through, but something at some point was sat upon this mailer and those little holes appeared. But it's not bad. And so we'll put this at number 8. Now, number 7 is similar but different. Now, this album was received from Rhino. Rhino has gotten some flack, but I've only had one damaged record ever from Rhino, and that was because of the delivery agent. That was Federal Express, and Federal Express mangled the record. It was in pieces, and it was a limited edition, and I had to wait 3 more months to get another one, and God bless Rhino, they took care of me, and the item was sent in a shipper like this. Now, the thing that bugged me about it is that FedEx denied all responsibility when it was clearly FedEx's problem. They actually delivered it to the wrong address. It was opened, it was tattered and shoved back together. When I got it, it was in pieces. The jacket, the OB strip, it was a high fidelity, it was mangled. Now, what I got the replacement in, again, is your average box, but see there's a little overhang here. You see that little overhang? And that allows the edges to be pushed or smacked and not damage the vinyl inside, because the vinyl inside sits within this square box housing. And you can see again that sort of angle overhang of protection. And that's literally what it is, because inside you have those same flaps that hold it. And in this case, a cardboard inner. Now, I save these cardboards to put sometimes in albums with no jackets or to protect something. I save these. But I held on to these to show you that there's a wide array of areas when it comes to packaging and shipping records. This isn't the worst. It isn't the best. It's right in the middle almost at number 7. So don't hate it. It's not the worst. I'll take it when I can get it, but there's better. And the better that we can do is number 6. Now, there's going to be some, as I said at the beginning, some asides, some honorable mentions. This is one of them. This was a Interscope Records subscription box. Also came perforated, and it's not entirely dissimilar from the number 7 in the sense that it has overhang. Now, the overhang in this case allows the album on both sides to be set within these lips. Now, these are the lips that the album will hold, so your album will go there. But then when it's folded, they've reinforced the top half with this fold over piece, which protects the album from being shifted during mailing. I held on to this because if it's a unique shipper, sometimes I hold on to it. So I held on to this one. I've only gotten one from Interscope. It would be great to get more. I'd like to see how the Dr. Dre was sent, for instance. But I thought Interscope did a great job with this. Much like the Rhino High Fidelity and how Rhino sent out, very similar. Is there room for improvement? Sure, obviously, and we'll get to that. But for an honorable mention, I thought not bad. And I got my record in one piece with no damage. Now, another similar honorable mention is this gentleman. Again, you see that overhang. Now, this doesn't meet with a lip, tongue, and groove. This doesn't have, it does have perforated tears, but this is also more of a fold over where they need to tape it. That tape runs all the way across, all the way along. I don't hate it. It adds added reinforcement almost on the top because you start to get a layering effect. And again, the record sits within this section here. And in this case, it did not have any additional over piece, whether it's corrugated cardboard or that paper insert, because these two, when folded over, kind of take the place of that. So again, not the best, not the worst, somewhere in the middle. And I think Interscope, and this was from Amoeba Records, this one here. So very similar to the Rhino High Fidelity, almost kind of like a three-way tie and an aside from a number 6, if you will. So, but we can do better, and we're going to show you what's better. So number 6. Number 6 is from a company I order a lot from, Waxwork Records. They do a lot of soundtrack work, and I collect soundtracks. It's one of my favorite things. So Waxwork used to have a box. I don't have one, and it had photographs of all their various releases. It was a beautiful box, and many of us held on to them until you have too many boxes like I have now. But many of us held on to them because it was a cool box. I may have one somewhere, but I couldn't find it. I do have this recent Waxwork shipper. Now this shipper, again, you've got the branded tape this time, and it's a whiplash again. Now added inside of this one is a piece of cardboard where the record sits in here. Then they put a piece of cardboard on top of that, and then on top of that they put bubble wrap. So bubble wrap, cardboard, whiplash, sealed with their tape, which runs all the way around and has breathing room on the two sides. I've never received a damaged Waxwork record. I've received faulty records, which they've replaced. Never had one damaged in shipping, not once. That's because Waxwork decided to invest in their own pressing plant, first off, and then they invested in a proper mailer. Now, you can get box sets from Waxwork as well. I've never ordered a box set from Waxwork. Yeah, no, I never have. I wanted their Godzilla, I just couldn't swing it. But I say, it's a great modern mailer for a modern company doing modern pressings. Kudos to Waxwork. They don't get enough credit in the record resurgence industry, and they deserve it. Fantastic company. So that's number 6. Number 5. Number 5. I'm less happy with the pressings. I'm happier with the boxes. I say that weirdly because I've only ordered a few things from this company, and I know it has fans, but I've just never received a pressing that knocked my socks off. I'm looking forward to getting a hold of their Jesus and the Mary chain if I can find one, because I really am a huge fan of that band. But the pressings I have received from them, I ordered several, and I've got a box here. This was one that Sleep came in. They did a repress of a Sleep album or two, and it came in this box, this mailer. And again, it's box shaped. You can see it has those overhang lips, which were kind of damaged or beat up in shipping. It also has tape, which I think again helps. Has a distinctive sticker. They're definitely very on in their branding. Many of you know that brand. But the box is pretty solid. Definitely a number 5 box. Now, boy, looking at this, I don't even know how I got it out of here because it appears to be completely sealed. Let's see if, oh, you know what? This is what I did. So these were so loose, these inner flaps that protect. I pulled in and pulled one out and slipped my album out of it, and this stayed sealed. I don't know why I did that. Maybe because it was a Sleep album. But it had bubble wrap around the record, and that's it. But the bubble wrap around the record and this protective box. Now, it is just a box. You see, there is no fancy shipping or folds in it or whiplash holds, because this particular Sleep album was a Sleep box set. And I'm actually shocked this survived, and it was probably due to this bubble wrap more than the box. So these next two are kind of interchangeable. They're both from Third Man, which takes us to number 4. Okay, number 4, as stated, also from Third Man Records. Now, this was a vault release purchase. So they do limited editions of certain titles, and they call them vault releases. This has that, of course. Ooh, it's got to have that brand on it. Now, I'm somewhat mixed about stuff like this on a box. If you think about it, you can tell it's a record if you have any intelligence level. But putting this on it almost tells whoever is handling it, this is indeed a record. That's what kind of scares me about it. The same with branded boxes, although I love them because I was in commercial art and I did box design. You can see that branding. So this package from Third Man did arrive in one piece with what it is undamaged. This is also a whiplash, if you will, because the product that sits inside of it here, I want to set this. I want to show you that in a minute. The product that sits inside of it was a greatest hits. It was the White Stripes greatest hits. I don't need all the White Stripes albums. I'm not that big of a fan, but greatest hits, sure. And this was a 3-album greatest hits as opposed to just a double LP album, which you could get at Target and any place like that. I figured, well, I wanted a 3. So you get some tchotchkes because it's a vault release, but it has the album in it and it's held inside this whiplash-like container. See, there's the album. It's the back of it. Here's the front of it. You want to see? There it is. And then it has a bonus with tchotchkes that's in this. All these things are flying out. Fancy papers. Now I threw my other personals in here. Here's a picture when I ran into Meg. I used to take Polaroids of people on the scene. I was a scene photographer as well. And this is Detroit Institute of Arts with the White Stripes on the cover. It was a 2006. But see, there's Meg. And then this fell out too. This was Meg from the Hold Me Back Satan tour at the Masonic, one of their final shows. And I shot that show. And Meg's one of my favorite people in that scene. And if you ever met her, you know why. She's a gem. But the packaging is obviously not from Meg. The packaging is from Jack. Third Man Records is Jack's company, and he certainly knows how to send records. This arrived and I've got some extra stuff in here because there's room for it, but it arrived in one piece because they put care into the box. So my number 3 would be Third Man. So Third Man tie up 4 and 3. I guess I can say it. Thanks, Jack. They received in one piece. No dings, no tears. So, boy, that behooves me to say that, but there it is. Okay, number 2, I'm going to add an addendum in the sense that I order a lot. Why have all these mailers? And I order from Mike at the In Groove quite a bit. And Mike from the In Groove, when I get those boxes from him, more often than not, they're emulating my number 2 box. And that box is Acoustic Sounds. Now, Acoustic Sounds knows what they're doing. End of story. Acoustic Sounds has some of the best releases. Acoustic Sounds has some of the best shippers. Now, this shipper, again, keep calling it a whiplash design. It's what I come up with. It's whiplash-esque. This doesn't hold the album within those little pockets, but it does have that cardboard on top. It's got these little sides. Now, these sides give you space to bend or breathe when in shipping. So that fold over portion, that tongue, if you will, sort of is a bumper for this box. Now, the Acoustic Sounds, in addition to that bumper box design, has the additional cardboard to protect your records and thick plastic, sometimes double plastics. On one side, the receipt, and on the other side, another thick plastic. Now, I think there was probably 2 on each side for this thick bubble plastic. And when you get that, and this was for a single album, gang, single album. Now, you'll pay a little more for the records. They've obviously done the business math and figured in what these things cost, but they survived. Here's another one. This one has the tape, just like the other one. This one has a fold over, is marked fragile, has company branding. And again, opens up with all that same. Now, I think there was a box in this one. There was probably plastic on it, but I was pretty good about saving what was in it. So this might just have been a single album, but it showed up in that same box. Now, again, like I said, Mike from the In Groove often uses this design box, and there's a reason. It's fantastic. Your records survive. Now, what's number 1? But first, some honorable mentions. Okay, some honorable mentions. Honorable mentions because the albums I received safely. This came from The Weeknd. He released a series of albums with different covers. We found out later it was a double album, and these were pre-sale single versions with different covers. That's another video altogether. But this was 3 records in a whiplash mailer. You can see there, and the albums safely came within. All no tears, no cover dings, no corner bends, and that was that sealed up in that whiplash type that we talked about earlier. So that's an honorable mention. This is another honorable mention. Some stuff I got recently from You Discover. Now, You Discover is almost in a tie for my first. I think maybe it is in my mind a tie. And their box has your packaging, big box. It has 4 sides to it, which are safely snug around the album, which is within this recycled paper, sort of like a grid. You see there? It's like a grid that sits on top. And on top of that was this piece of paper. And I've had others from them where they've had 3 or 4 of these pieces of papers and the receipt. And when you see inside the box, you see how snug it fits in there? And there's a reason why my records arrived safely. They cared enough to send it in a safe shipper. So that's almost a tie for my number 1. But some more honorable mentions are for box sets. These were box sets that Rhino put out. We've got 1 box set for ZZ Top. We've got a second box set for ZZ Top. This was the first box. That previous was the second box. They've got branding on them, which is kind of cool. You see there. Now I save these because I want to have the complete package at some point when I die and somebody takes my collection. I want this box to go with it. And this box, the albums arrive safely because there's this folded inner. And then there's a second folded inner there, you see, with a 4-sided lip that is recessed on top, and they reverse it, set the record in there, put this on top, box it up, and your record, at least mine, arrived safely. No seam splits. Now, I know some people did have seam splits, and perhaps there's a better way to address that, but I don't think it's the packaging. I think it's the shipping. These are manhandled by people when they're being delivered. And that's where your seam splits are coming from. Sometimes I wish they all gave us the option of shipping the records outside of the jackets. I'm all for that practice. I know Mike from the In Groove has sort of complied if you bring it out to him. And there's other companies like Terror Vision that do the same. I've asked Waxwork, but I've never gotten it from them or they've taken it out. And that's where we're getting those seam splits from when we're ordering. This is the doors. Again, it's a branded on both sides. Now, the only, again, caveat to this is someone somewhere can tell what you're shipping. Same recess, 4 sides, box inside, safely arrived. At least mine did. Now, my love-hate relationship with branded is if somebody is a Doors fan and they're driving by your house and they decide they're going to help themselves to your hard-earned, cash-earned records, that's my catch with these. As much as I love them, I also inner cringes if it gets stolen. But the branding advertising guy in me loves this kind of stuff. I am very much a packaging guy. I very harshly critique everything in its packaging because that's what I did for a number of years amongst my various art jobs. So these are all honorable mentions, okay? So let's get to number 1, Chris, and I think you know what it is. Okay, drum roll, please. Number 1, Acoustic Sounds, affectionately dubbed the suitcase, because of this little carrying strap. Now, I've had people say that the carrying strap has been pulled out in shipping. Mine never have been. I've always gotten a suitcase from Acoustic Sounds in this condition. I save them. They're that good. I've mailed records to other people around the world, around the United States, to Canada, in these suitcases. I recently sold a record for a stupid amount of money to help feed the horse, and I sent it in one of my saved suitcases. The suitcase from Acoustic Sounds, branded, reinforced corners that fold over and tuck into a tongue and groove. flap, folds on the side, and everything when you see this sort of detail, this care, everything in product design is meant to save and insulate your product, to make sure it gets to you in the top quality you expect it. I've never had a problem with acoustic sound shipping, never. And part of it is because of their packaging. Now, the record I ordered in this was a UHQR and did have bubble wrap 4 times, if I recall. 4 times they wrapped one of my UHQRs back here. I only have two, but I saved the boxes because this. And when I had ordered maybe 1 or 2 albums from them in the past, they would often come in the other acoustic sounds box, which is equally as great. But when you're spending $300, $400 on a record box or an individual record, this is what you want. They thank you for supporting vinyl. How wonderful is that? And with the plastic wrap, with the tongue and groove, with the fragile tape on the sides, with the handle, or there's been times where I've stopped by on the way to work or the way from work to the antique malls that are near me and I find something from the dollar bins. I put them in one of these bad boys. Gets home safely. Number one, hands down, acoustic sounds suitcase box. Well, that's it. That's my ranking. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you learned something. At the very least, it's something we all go through. And I'd like to see more companies with the 2 winning acoustic sounds. Mike from the In Group does it, but I'd like to see more of these. Whiplashes are great, but there's no guarantee you're going to get your record in perfect condition. So thank you for visiting the AV room. I hope you liked this video. And as always, like and subscribe, turn on notifications, all that rigmarole. And if you can help it, subscribe to this channel. I really appreciate you. I need the subscribers in the worst way. I'm heading in a slow season for tattoo, and there's a good 2 months where I barely work. And getting this channel off the ground has been something that's been a dream of mine for a long time. So like and subscribe if you can, tell a friend. Thank you all for visiting the AV room, and we will see you soon.